So again, our topic for today is this notion of limiting beliefs. And I think this is a topic that is very important for us to sort of wrap our minds around as we strive to master the mind. And so I'll just start with sort of defining what limiting beliefs are. And essentially these are, you could think of them as primarily fear-based beliefs that serve as the core of our belief system. And in some ways, these limiting beliefs can cripple us, and in many ways can even impoverish the way that we live our lives. These might be beliefs about ourselves, about our self-identity, how we think about ourselves, how we think about life in general, and even perhaps how we think about other people and the world around us. And so if you've been with us for a few weeks now and you created your top 10 playlist of recurring thoughts, the thoughts that we play over and over and over again every single day, 97% of our thoughts are repeated every day, you'll start to realize that a lot of those thoughts stem from the core limiting beliefs that inform this belief system. Because you have to remember that our beliefs basically drive our thoughts, and our thoughts drive our actions drive our destiny. And so when you can start to investigate these limiting beliefs, you can see how they have a magnitude of impact in the rest of our lives and how we create the reality of our lives. And the interesting thing is that many, if not maybe most of our limiting beliefs are created in our childhood, right? If you really think about it, we are a product of our childhood conditioning. And so a lot of the work that I do with my clients is to help them to trace back to the source of their limiting beliefs. If they're showing up at work and behaving in certain ways, when you trace that back to sort of the origins of your belief system, the experiences that you've had, right? As a child, the moments when you learned what it means to be safe, what it means to be loved, our minds store that information, and those become hardwired in our brains as our belief system that will then drive the thoughts, that drive the actions, that inform how we live our lives. And so by bringing these realizations to the surface, we have the power and the ability to sort of loosen the grip and create more space in our lives, and are able to sort of choose to live in a way that, from my perspective, is more liberating and not as limiting. And so that's what we're going to explore today, to examine the beliefs that might have you gripped at the throat, and to see how might you be able to start freeing yourself from those shackles. We'll also investigate, as you know, if you've been here before, my meditation style is to integrate not just the mind, but also the body into the practice. And what we know about these thoughts is that there's a felt sense. There is a somatic or a physiological manifestation of the thoughts that we have. And I want you to reflect on this for a moment. So we'll do a quick exercise. I'll ask you to just close your eyes briefly. And imagine that you are looking at a whiteboard or a blackboard, if you're old school, like I am. I love blackboards. But just imagine an empty board in front of you. And for a moment, see the word trouble and start saying either to yourself or out loud, trouble, trouble. And just mentally whisper that word to yourself. And allow whatever comes up around trouble to come up. And if you can, take a moment to tune into your body and see if you can notice how you are experiencing this focus that you're putting on the word trouble. Trouble. Do you notice anything in your throat? Do you notice anything maybe in your chest or your belly? And if you continue repeating this word trouble, again, trouble, you start to believe that maybe there's a problem, right? That's sort of the conclusion that our mind will come to. So erase the word trouble from the blackboard of your mind, demolish it, get rid of it, give your mind a break and maybe imagine a beautiful landscape with blue skies and birds flying, waves of the ocean. And then now in the blackboard of your mind, reflecting on the word joy. Joy. And tuning into the somatic manifestation of that word. What do you notice in your body? There's a feeling of happiness, of joy that you're able to cultivate just by imagining this word joy. You might even sense a slight smile that's coming to the face. I'm noticing some of you are in fact smiling. So you can erase that word, open your eyes, and return your attention to our community as just a brief exercise so you can have a direct experience of the power of words, that just a single word, trouble, can emit a much different response than the word joy. And you can see the difference in the felt experience. And there's a ton of research about the hormones that are emitted in the body, right? We talked in one of our sessions that by bringing a smile to our face, even if that smile is forced, can emit the feel-good hormone oxytocin that travels across the entire central nervous system and cultivates a mood of joy throughout our system. So these words are really powerful. And you can think of our belief system as thoughts and words that we've told ourselves over and over again. So I'll use myself as an example, and no hard feelings to my mom, who as a single parent really cultivated a sense of excellence in our household, which has served me for many, 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 many years. But one of the beliefs that I was raised with is this notion that crooked letters are not allowed in our house. And I've said this to my mom many times, and she's like, what are you talking about? I don't even remember saying that. She might have said it once, and it stuck with me. And so I became a straight A student because B's and C's and D's were not acceptable. And as a child, that was my way of learning that to be safe, because I didn't want to get in trouble with my mom, to be safe and to be loved, I had to get straight A's. And so that was a core belief of mine, that my way of being safe and being loved was to excel, was to achieve. Well, what do you think that did for me as an adult? I became this perfectionist, an overachieving perfectionist, because in my mind, achievement is the only thing that's accepted. And so in many ways, these seemingly limiting beliefs can serve us in very positive ways. I mean, after all, I've achieved quite a bit. I had a very successful consulting career, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it also carries a very limiting and heavy burden until we can bring our awareness to the way that we are wired, to how this belief, albeit limiting and also serving us in many ways, can also have a cost with it. And so that's the opportunity, is to acknowledge the way that these limiting beliefs in many ways might be serving you. If they weren't, then you wouldn't continue to hold these beliefs and allow them to manifest in your life, and acknowledge the cost and the burden that come with them. And by acknowledging them, by bringing them to the surface, you can now take command of how you respond to this belief that has been wired into your mind. And by doing that, regaining the power and therefore mastery of your mind and more mastery of your life. And so that's what we'll investigate in our practice today. So I'll ask you for a few moments to close your eyes as we transition into our practice. And maybe shifting your body in a way that will allow you to hold a posture that you can breathe with ease. I see a lot of movement. I'm just going to take an extra minute to allow people to get settled here. And we'll start our practice, as always, with a body scan, really allowing yourself to just relax in this moment. And so if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. And if not, maybe just holding a slight gaze. I see Joy's daughter is joining us. Is that Zania? Hi, welcome. You're going to meditate with us this morning. Thank you for joining us. So go ahead and close your eyes if you're comfortable. If not, just hold a very soft gaze in front of you. And really give yourself permission to just relax, to be calm, and enjoy this moment that you've taken for yourself today. We'll start with a few deep breaths, and we'll do this together as a community, breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do that again, taking 1 single breath in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and very gently exhaling 2, 3, 4, 5. And on this next breath, slowly scanning the body to see where in your body might you be holding some tension, where could use a little bit more relaxation. And so we'll check in with our face and see if any of the muscles in our face could soften just a little bit more. Bringing your attention to your shoulders, and with each exhalation, allowing yourself to just surrender to this moment. Maybe bringing the shoulders up to the ears and all the way back down. Exhaling to release whatever tension you might be holding in the shoulders. Maybe deepening with a loud exhale. Just really give yourself permission to sink in more and more to this moment. Letting go of whatever tension, whatever burden you might be carrying this morning. And simply relaxing, continuing to breathe. And checking in with your posture for a moment to see, how are you sitting right now? And see if it's helpful to make any adjustments that will allow you to breathe even more deeply with even more ease. And so you might check in here to see if maybe you're leaning forward or slouching or leaning back. It might even be more comfortable for you to lay on your back. In this practice, we'll focus on finding what feels good. So giving yourself a moment just to check in and make whatever adjustment helpful so that you can be more comfortable, more relaxed, and more at peace. And checking in with your seat and noticing whatever you're sitting on, be it the floor, the bed, the couch, a chair, a cushion. And especially today, just taking a moment to notice what it's like to be held, to be supported, that no matter what, the ground is always there. And then noticing the hands and noticing where your hands are placed right now. If for some reason this morning you're feeling scattered or fuzzy, it might be helpful to lay your palms down on your thighs or on the knees as a way of really grounding yourself. Or if today you're feeling particularly heavy, you might find it helpful to turn your palms facing upward and resting them wherever it's comfortable. And so inviting a state of openness and freeness. So placing the hands whichever way is most comfortable for you. And then on this next breath, just checking in with yourself in an even deeper way. And taking a few moments before we jump into the practice to ground ourselves into this moment. Once more, giving yourself the permission to transition from any external distractions and really turning your focus inward. I'll invite you on this journey into your inner world for a few moments. And so anchor or focus and attention on the breath. Taking a moment to identify where in your body are you sensing your breath the most today. So maybe it's easy for you to really tune in to the sound of the breath. Or perhaps the sensation of the breath on the nostrils and the back of the throat. Or maybe for you today, it's the movement of the breath. And so really sensing the movement of the chest moving up and down, or the belly pushing out and pushing in. So take these next few moments to really ground and gather your focus, gather your attention, tuning in to that part of your body where you are sensing your breath the most. And without trying to change the breath in any way, just simply noticing. Noticing maybe the pace of the breath. Noticing if your breath today is very short or long. Are you able to breathe with ease? Or is there a bit of a strain? There's no right or wrong way, but to simply notice. And so at any moment in our practice, if you notice yourself getting distracted, just bring your attention back to the breath, to this part where you can really experience your breath. And so shifting now to our practice, I'll invite you to reflect on an area in your life where you feel challenged. This might be at work. This might be in a relationship. Or perhaps this morning you can't quite place the scenario, but you can notice a very intense emotion that's present for you. And without getting caught up into the details or allowing the narrative of the story to take your attention away, just noticing and recognizing what is. Whatever this challenge is, whatever this difficult emotion is, just recognizing it for what it is. And allowing the breath to support you here, you might ask yourself, how can I just let this be? Allowing the space for this challenge to exist. You might even find it helpful to open your hands and open the arms as if to invite this situation in. You might find it helpful to whisper, "It's okay. This too is welcome." Allowing the breath to support us in increasing our capacity, again, to experience the fullness of our lives. We allow this challenge to be here with us in this moment. And so now we investigate by asking yourself, what am I believing to be true? What am I believing to be true? And if perhaps you can notice a particular mood or a feeling or emotion that is present as you identify this challenge, you might also say sadness or worry or fear or anger. What are you believing to be true? Just really acknowledging the connection between the emotion and the belief. So, what am I believing to be true? And then I'll invite you to shift your attention from the thoughts, and you might find yourself reliving a certain experience or a memory, giving yourself permission to transition your focus from your mind and into your body. So starting to explore, where in the body can you notice the felt sense of this belief? You might notice a particular area that is really apparent to you in this moment. Perhaps there's a temperature that's present, or a sensation, a numbing that's apparent. Maybe a tightness that you can notice, or a heaviness. And in this moment, it's likely that you might have even escaped from this present moment, and maybe your mind has wandered off. And if it's comfortable for you, just inviting your attention and your focus to gather on the breath. And again, opening to the experience as much as feels comfortable for you. And if it's too uncomfortable, return your attention to the breath and continue to simply focus on the experience of the breath. And as we continue to explore this felt sense, really bringing your attention to that part of your body where you can experience how this belief is living through you. And so investigating here, are these sensations associated with a specific emotional state? And so maybe you're feeling some anger, maybe some fear, maybe even hatred or self-hatred. Maybe a feeling of loss, of longing. Maybe some frustration or sadness. And believing that by naming we can tame, go ahead and name whatever emotion you notice is present for you. You might even whisper this out loud. Gently whispering to yourself. You might also investigate, how is this belief influencing the way that I'm relating to myself or to other people in my life? And now just taking a moment to notice whatever is present. Notice whatever has emerged with this reflection. there a sense of restlessness, a sense of irritation, maybe a sense of intrigue or curiosity? So continuing to breathe and continuing to allow your breath to support you in gathering your focus and gathering your attention. It's never too late to just reset. You can always start again. And so reflecting here, under these beliefs that is causing this emotional suffering, what is the unmet need? What does this part of me need most? What might I need to acknowledge? What might I be resisting? What else might I be unwilling to believe? And reflecting for a moment on what else is possible to believe. What else might be possible to believe, to feel, to know? And notice what that is like, to consider an alternative. Can you give yourself the permission to choose to think and feel differently about this situation, about this challenge? And now really pulling on the resourcefulness that is always available to us. Our capacity for love, our capacity for compassion. I'll invite you in these next few moments to bring a sense of comfort and support to yourself. And so you might practice this by placing a hand on the heart. And if for some reason your emotions are really intense for you this morning, you might find it helpful to make a fist and really press against the chest. You might hold both hands to the chest. And as you press into the chest, you might notice an emotional response to this. And so allowing yourself to simply continue to breathe, knowing that the breath gives us the capacity to tolerate and to be with. And if there are tears, just let them flow. You might also practice holding your own hand, again, as if holding the hand of a child. You might even practice giving yourself a hug. And if that sounds strange, I'll invite you to go ahead and experiment and just give that a try and see what that would feel like. to hold yourself as if holding a loved one, to be held in your own embrace. And if all of these are uncomfortable or hard, we can also pull on the resource of a friend, a loved one, a family member from whom we find great comfort. And imagining here for a moment whether this person is with us or has moved on. Taking a moment to imagine what might it be like to be held, to be embraced by them. And just continuing to breathe, relaxing even more, allowing the stillness of this present moment to support you in feeling relaxed and feeling calm. And checking in here to notice whatever is present for you now. Noticing your state of mind, your mood, your state of being. Do you notice a shift? And regardless of what you are experiencing in this moment, just simply giving yourself a tap on the shoulder, acknowledgement for taking this time to take care of you, to be with yourself, and to connect with each other as a community. And so celebrating that, if nothing else. Bringing a smile to the mouth. When you're ready, gently opening your eyes and bringing your attention back to our virtual community. And if you're comfortable returning on camera, exhaling and maybe stretching or moving. And we'll do brief reflections here. Curious to see what you guys might have noticed about this experience as we explored not just the thoughts that are present, but the beliefs that are present for us in our lives right now. And what can you notice about your state of being? So go ahead and open the chat box and share whatever reflections you have about that experience, or if you'd like, feel free to open the mic and share there as well.
Hi, Sky. I feel calm.
Ah, thank you, Gina. Glad to hear that you're feeling calm.
My mind is more focused.
More focused. Wonderful. If nothing else, just focusing on the breath can help you to really gather your thoughts. Peaceful and happy, Renee says. So an interesting exercise as you reflect on any areas of difficulty, of challenge, of maybe even conflict that you might be experiencing, Elena says centered, is to not only bring your attention to the thought that might be present, but the belief that might also be present. And the more that you build your awareness on these beliefs, you can start to notice, is there a connection here to this belief that you notice is very present, very commonly present? And perhaps you might even reflect on, where might this be coming from? And the more that you give this belief your thought, your focus, and attention, you can almost trace it back to an earlier experience with a parent, a family member, or a person of influence in your life. And you can maybe identify an experience or a memory where this knowing became apparent. Remembering that we are taught as children what it means to be safe, what it means to be loved. And fundamentally, as a child, that's all we want. And those experiences are then registered as our core beliefs, as reminders of the behaviors that are appropriate for us to be safe and for us to feel loved. And these registers, or programming, or conditioning, or wiring, whatever you want to call it, have beliefs and an emotional sense that is connected to them. So that is the exploration that is available. And next week, what I'd like to do is to explore how we can start to reprogram what might also be there. So just want to share a few more reflections. Luna says, I felt a huge wave of calmness after envisioning my father and brother holding me. Oh, how special, Luna. And Ingrid said, forgiving myself. There's a very powerful way that we can do this practice for self-forgiveness. I feel so connected to me as much as I give love and hugs. It was kind of difficult to hug myself. Don't know why. We can certainly explore that more. And Joy says, I had my daughter coming out of the room, which was driving me crazy, but I was still able to keep going back and forth to relax and breathe. This was much needed. Hugging myself was so emotional. I loved it. Yay, Abby. So, such beautiful experiences. I'm loving this, guys. How difficult it is to love ourselves. I recently recorded a self-care video, which will be available on the YouTube channel soon, of practicing these self-care acts that we can do for ourselves just by breathing, holding ourselves, hand on the heart, fist on the chest, and practice what that's like to learn to love ourselves. And the more capacity that we have to do that for ourselves, the more we're able to do that for others. But a lot more difficult for a lot of people. So we've got about 7 minutes left. And what I'd like to do is just to connect us as a community and acknowledging all the moms who are with us on the call today. If you can raise your hands so we can see you, moms in the house, happy Mother's Day. Maybe you don't have a child of your own, but you have a niece or a cousin or a nephew or someone, a sibling that you help to parent in some way as well. You can raise your hand too. We celebrate you too. I'm right there with you, Elena. Right? We are parents in our own right. So we will drift into this meditation and we'll gently end our session today in practice, really taking this moment to honor the mothers around the world, whether in formal parenting or those of you who assume a parenting role for a sibling, a niece, a nephew, a godchild. So go ahead and once more, just close your eyes, anchoring again on the breath, remembering in any moment we have the breath available to us, and we can leverage its power and its strength in not only calming our central nervous system, but also creating more space, more capacity to experience the fullness of this imperfect life. And so continuing to breathe and breathing in, receiving of love and gratitude for the mothers who continue to nurture our hearts, whose love and abundance continues to shower over us in so many limitless ways. You might bring to mind a specific mother or parent or mother figure who has been significant in your life. Imagining their face in your mind's eye and placing your hand on your heart, showering this mother figure in your life with nothing but an abundance of love and care and kindness. And in this next moment, offering whatever your heart desires, sharing a moment of loving kindness for this mother figure. You might utter the words, "May you feel loved. May you be appreciated. May you feel today as special as you have been to each life that you have touched. May you feel honored and blessed and cared for and respected and supported." And now extending that loving kindness to the mothers in your network, perhaps your friends, your colleagues, your family, and extending your wish of loving kindness to them as well. Wishing that they too feel loved and cherished and honored and respected and cared for and adored and admired for their selfless giving. And sharing the same loving kindness to mothers all over the world. And wishing the same for them as well. And now allowing yourself to make a U-turn, and regardless of the mother figure that you might be, acknowledging your own motherness and your own ability to nurture not only your own children, but also, and most importantly, to nurture yourself. May you take this moment to honor yourself and offer up not just loving kindness, but a deep sense of care and respect and love and admiration for the beautiful being that you are, man, woman, or child. Honoring yourself for showing up today the way that you have, honoring your imperfections and your perfections, honoring who you are in this world and also in this community. And so taking a moment to imagine, as we do, connecting not just with ourselves with a hand on the heart, but also with each other as a virtual community. Imagining the warm embrace of every single one of us who are here together today. And so opening our hearts, opening our minds to reach out and share a virtual hug with each other and offer our own version of loving kindness. My loving kindness wish to each of you in this community. May you all feel loved. May you all feel safe. May you all be well. May you not only love on your mothers and the mothers in your network and in your community, but to love yourself as well. And for today, to embrace that nurturing aspect of you that can love yourself as well. So we'll end our session today with gratitude and joy and abundance of love. May you go through the week feeling love, not only for today, but for the rest of the week and for the rest of the entire month. I love you all. It's been amazing to be in community with you this morning. Thank you so much for showing up, for joining. Happy Mother's Day! Kisses to everyone. And we'll see you next week.